When everything we consume is the worst thing ever by some mouth breather on the internet, how is anything truly the worst thing ever? Time for the only podcast to officially create a list of the worst movies ever made. The only one. For real. Worst movies ever.
Worst movies ever! Hello, shit-filled fans, and welcome back to another episode of Worst Movies Ever. Today on the podcast, we're going to be dealing with a movie by a producer that in the past, on other podcasts I've done, we've covered a lot. Back on my old podcast, Astro Radio Z, one of the first major series of shows that we did concerned this TNA 90s film series called the Witchcraft films. And there are, to this point, and this is going to change, there are 16 of them. Right now, as far as I know, there are 2 more in production. One was actually shot. And then I guess, and I've heard this through the grapevine, that the actors involved in that movie, which I believe is called Witchcraft 17, The Initiation, have then talked to the producer we're going to talk about today, David Sterling, and gotten the rights to make part 18 themselves. So there's not just one, but 2 new Witchcraft movies on the way. I'm kind of caught between, do I cover them here on the Worst Movies Ever podcast, or do I bring Astro Radio Z out of retirement so that we can continue adding to the mega episode that we have, which is like over 6 hours long at this point. That's all the Witchcraft movies. Maybe I should do a re-edit on those. And I know this is a tangent and I apologize, but I wonder if I should do a re-edit on the Witchcraft mega franchise episode so that I can release it back on Astro Radio Z for all you guys. And maybe we come out of retirement for this one episode to finalize fucking Astro Radio Z's Witchcraft series, which will never happen because they'll just keep making. There's going to be 37 Witchcraft movies by time I die. Almost guaranteed that's going to happen. You guys aren't going to like any of those movies. They suck. All of them suck. But at this point, we're completionists, and we got to see this through to the very bitter fucking end. But anyways, David Sterling, who is now the producer of the Witchcraft series, is fairly well known in underground, I don't want to say shit cinema, but like just, low grade, Z grade exploitation cinema, as somebody who snags up and produces as much content as humanly possible to put out there and make a few bucks on as little budget as possible. In today's movie, Unseeable, made in 2001, abso-fucking-lutely reeks of that. Now, I had shied away from Unseeable for many, many, many fucking years. And it sat on one of my hard drives because I believe I originally came across this film in one of those like Mill Creek Walmart 20 film packs or whatever. When you would go to Walmart and there'd be those bins of DVDs, which there still are. And I still see people go over to them and like dig through them. Like, why are you doing that? All of these movies are available to you on streaming services now. Just go to Tubi. They're all on fucking Tubi right now. Anyways, you would dig through those and you would bring home just like this plethora of Z-grade shit movies, and Unseeable 100% was on one of those. And I did not jump into it immediately. Until now, actually, to be honest, because the cover looks so bad. It is like, if you look at the cover, it's a fucking CGI monster And if you watched anything from the era of like 2001, CGI was not ready for the runway when it came to like B-level exploitation, direct-to-video cinema. It was not ready. I mean, even look at that Mortal Kombat movie from that time. The CGI is awful. It's terrible. It's like PS1 level fucking graphics. Beyond the mind's eye level graphics. Terrible shit. And Unseen Evil absolutely had that. And it made me think of this other movie that I had accidentally rented at the time called Demonicus. That also, that cover looked like it had some really awful CGI from that time. Come to find out, the same director that made Demonicus made Unseen Evil, and I knew it as soon as I saw the monster in this movie. Now, what is Unseen Evil, you're asking me? Well, Unseen Evil concerns a group of slimy treasure hunters that discover a cave in which inhabits a gold-loving, get this, invisible alien creature that begins to attack and kill them for reasons. You heard that right, guys. This is a movie with an invisible monster. There's a reason it's called Unseen Evil. Because these people in this movie get chased by something you can't see. Even having said that there is a fucking CGI, horrible CGI monster in this movie, 90% of it literally is an invisible monster and people getting chased by a camera. You remember when Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 came out and there was that sequence where Alice's brother has the invisible fight with Freddy in the dream kung fu or karate dojo? How pissed off everyone. Even if you go and like look up any sort of like discussion on Friday or Nightmare on Elm, I don't know why I keep saying Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, it always brings up the worst Freddy kill is possibly the invisible Freddy kill from Part 4. Now imagine an entire movie of that. Unseen Evil, and this is my verdict on this. Does it deserve to be in the worst movies ever? With a completely awful late 90s PS1 level CGI monster that is invisible most of the time, and your typical quote-unquote group in the woods fight unknown evil plot, there's not much to recommend here. You've seen it before, and after 20 minutes, this becomes an incredibly tedious slog due to how badly this goes through the motions. And I mean, it literally, you've seen this in other movies. If it's The Evil Dead, if it's Predator, which this obviously takes a lot of cues off of Predator. You've seen this movie before, and it doesn't try to vary from it in any capacity. So you're just straight up bored with it the entire time because it doesn't do any of it well. It's a really bad movie, but it's not one of the worst I've ever seen. Its greatest sin is that it's incredibly generic and boring. The last two movies we've covered here on the podcast, I've been very close to putting on the list. I know with Death Nurse, I told you that it was so close, but there were parts of it that I really liked. Unseen Evil is right there as well. This was actually shot on film. So there's a look, even though a lot of it, and I mean a lot of it, is not in focus. And it doesn't look good. And the transfer that's out there, and I watched the DVD transfer. If you want to watch this, it's up on Tubi. As I said, all those Mill Creek, DVD sets are all up on Tubi. You can watch all of those movies there. It doesn't look good in any capacity. It's very low resolution. I bet you they just stripped the DVD transfer that they had and threw it up on Tubi. So there's on top of the fact the monster is terrible, it's really fucking hard to recommend this movie to anyone after the first 10 minutes. It's real. And I said 20 minutes. I only say that because the greatest good, and let's get into the good.
What is good?
The greatest good of this movie is that Tim Thomerson is in it. You guys that have been longtime listeners of my podcast know exactly who Tim Thomerson is. We're talking from Full Moon movies, Trancers, and Doll Man, and a plethora of other things. Tim Thomerson in the 90s, one of the greatest B-movie actors. Straight up. You're a fan of Tom Atkins from the 80s? Tim Thomerson is like the Full Moon Pictures Tom Atkins, at least to me. So charming, such a great presence, and he's in this movie for all of 2 minutes. And it's a fucking shame. Because I would have actually enjoyed this movie if Tim Thomerson was in it for more than 2 minutes. But he does have one of the best spoilers death scenes in this entire movie. So anyways, as I had said, besides Tim Thomerson being in this and really being the only reason to watch this movie, the opening scene, which is basically like a flashback to the origin of the evil that we are experiencing through the unseen evil that we experience in this movie, is a flashback to native times, pre-colonization. And there's these natives that basically do this ritual that brings about this, what they see as a demon. Come to find out later in the movie, spoilers again, if you're listening to this and you're wanting to see this movie, don't listen to the rest of the podcast because I'm going to spoil the shit out of it. We find out that the unseen evil is actually an alien that has dropped down and is here to protect a very specific like relic for reasons. It's basically like the alien, the evil is basically like the leprechaun in the Leprechaun movies where there's a pot of gold that he has to constantly have to have power. The unseen evil in this movie protects its treasures. And what's its treasures? Just a random assortment of really shitty gold painted things. For 13 minutes of this movie, it's this ritual scene, zero dialogue, and it's actually kind of moody. I liked this scene. It was not a good setup for what we were going to watch through the rest of the movie, because the rest of the movie does not compare stylistically to this thing. It definitely felt like they were going for something and actually, in their extremely low budget way, succeeded in it in this first scene. After that point, oh my God, just pure boringness. Another good in this movie is, so Tim Thomerson plays what is essentially like a park ranger. And our group of people, these treasure hunters that we come to find out that's what they are, they set themselves up as like archaeologists and scientists that are out to study and find relics in this very protective like forest area. And they have a native guide that knows Tim Thomerson, and they go there to this lodge where is basically like his headquarters for this region, or the region that he covers at least. And when he's talking to these people about what the experience is going to be like and hoping that they have all the gear that they need because it's very remote and they can't really, there's no civilization out there. They're kind of going to be left alone into the elements. He goes, from now on, it's Squat City from here on out, which means you're going to have to take a shit out in the middle of the woods. And I thought that was kind of funny. There's this guy in the group that essentially you come to find out is an ex-con that was hired on to be the muscle to ensure that the head of this group, who is a disgraced professor, his only course for ensuring that he has money to live on is that now he's basically like a tomb raider, and he's just going to go and pilfer and pillage ancient sites to get treasures to sell to museums or sell on the black market. So he's hired all of these people and tricked his ex-girlfriend, who was actually a student of his. Not weird at all. He's tricked her to come with so that she can actually like give him the science of what's going on and point him in directions that he might not have seen, and also validate the finds that they come across so that he's not wasting his time at all. But there are two other guys that are brought in that lie basically at the beginning of the movie about who they are and what their history is, that are just like ex-cons helping him as muscle. And for some reason, one of the guys who's brought in, he just basically goes apeshit almost immediately. And when the alien creature starts its rampage across the forest and tries to kill them because they eventually find the cave where these relics are, steal it, and that awakens the alien / demon that is coming after them to reclaim his goods. The guide gets killed. And I'm sorry, this is such a long preamble for this, but the guide that they brought, the native girl, gets killed. He comes across the corpse and screeches like a 6-year-old girl. And I thought that was so fucking amazing. And I apologize for all that buildup for the only good is that he screeches like a little girl and he sees a corpse. Anyway, that'll inform the rest of this, so I don't feel bad about it. Other good is this movie actually has good blood effects. The editing is decent in this movie, and the camera work, for what it is, isn't horrible. There's a lot of time that it's just kind of boring, but there's times where it actually is trying to do something, so it's not like terrible, and it elevates the film a little bit. The last good I have is that there is this character that eventually, after the group that are going out to steal these relics, after they come across the ranger shack, one of the guys goes in, has to go to the bathroom, like acts like he has to go to the bathroom, and basically knocks Tim Thomerson out and locks him up with handcuffs so that he can't find them, so that they will be left alone to pillage these finds. And eventually this dude who's friends with Tim Thomerson shows up to the cabin or to the lodge and rescues him. And his overdub is so atrocious that it makes it incredibly hilarious. And on top of the fact that his lines are pretty dumb, his overdub makes it feel like comedy. Like it's so out of place with the seriousness of the rest of the movie that I really enjoyed that. The majority of this movie is done in VO, and let's get to the bads.
What is bad?
As I said before, the fucking poster to this is atrocious. I know that's not part of the movie, but when you're picking out stuff and you see this poster on like Tubi, if you guys are like flipping through and you see this thing, it's exactly why I didn't watch it up until now. This movie has been out for 24 years. And I've skipped it every single time because of that stupid fucking poster. And not a good way to sell your fucking movie at all. It turned me off so bad. Another bad, this movie is really tedious and dull after the plot kicks in. Like after the first 20 minutes, when you find out it's just these guys are going to like steal these relics, wakens the monster, and then the rest of the movie is just them trying to avoid being killed by the monster. It's so boring and generic that it would be almost next to impossible to not just totally check out from this movie. The CGI monster, when you do see it, when it's not in like Predator vision, and what I mean by that is, remember in the Predator where they would show shots where you could kind of see it, where there was parts of it that were translucent and then other parts where you could kind of see edges. They basically just took the goddamn CGI monster and dropped the opacity to almost you couldn't see it, and occasionally they would toss that in there, and it looks so fucking bad that there is no way you believe or are invested or like intimidated by the monster in this movie, because it looks like PS1 level graphics and is so awful that the moment it pops on screen, you're like, if you don't find the controller and completely just hit stop and back out and try and find something else, you obviously aren't running a podcast called Worst Movies Ever, and you won't forge on. This is starting to make me think I should put this on the list of the worst movies ever. It really is, because there's such a high bar of entry for you to continue on after you see this monster. It in no way elicits fear. It in no way makes you like excited to see it more. The moment you see it, you're like, oh, God damn it. It's poop again. What am I doing here? As I said before, the audio overdubs aren't great, and they stick out like a sore thumb. At least you can hear what they're saying. The audio isn't bad. So this is kind of like a 50-50 scenario where I'm glad we can hear the dialogue and there's no problem because of the overdub, but it looks so bad because you could definitely tell that it's overdubbed on these characters. So it's just, it takes you out of the movie a little bit. But the Foley at times, and if you guys aren't aware, those of you that don't know terminology for films, I'll try my best at times to mansplain the shit. And I'm sorry if that's how it feels, but Foley is a bit essentially like the art of overdubbing sound effects to make the whole scene feel believable. And there are times where people are walking and the crinkling of leaves is so fucking loud you can't hear what they're saying. It's really fucking bad. The movie in general, and this is another bad, feels like a Temu level Full Moon movie, and that's saying something. Think of the average level fucking trauma pickup. Maybe I should have maybe I should have said that. I hate trash talking. I really hate trash talking trauma, because trauma's in my heart and will always be in my heart forever. But the movies they pick up, there is no quality standard at all. They support independent film in any form. And if you've made a movie, they are proud of you. And they'll put it on their streaming service. They put it out on DVD. They'll do anything. Full Moon never was like that. Until the Paramount dropped them, I should say. And then from there out, the quality of what they had, man, did it vary. And this feels like their lowest level shit, even lower. Ugh, it's terrible. The Invisible Monster, fuck that. That's a horrible bad. There is this scene where the muscle I had told you about before that screamed like a little girl, his death scene is some of the worst edited shit I've seen in a movie in a while. And that's saying something. We just watched fucking Death Nurse, and the editing in that was really fucking bad. He's like at the top of a cliff. He somehow gets pushed off by the monster, falls to his death on rocks, and it's edited in a way that you would be confused as to what the fuck just happened. Just terrible, terrible. And I think my last bad is that there's this character, Mike, who's one of the two hired muscles in this movie. He's what we would label the sympathetic bad guy. He's the bad guy who they have to have some sort of love interest in this movie. So the archaeologist slash Tomb Raider, who's brought everybody out there, and his ex-girlfriend, who's the actual like science-driven scholar. The ex-girlfriend and this guy, Mike, are supposed to be the quote unquote, romantic angle and couple of the film. Throughout the movie, there's obvious tension between them. Obviously, this guy is attempting to woo her, and she's obviously, even though the script is demanding that they're at ends and at odds through the movie, she obviously is into him in some capacity. But this guy, everything that he says, he's constantly saying sorry about to her. And we're constantly, oh, you don't have to say sorry. Please stop saying sorry. He keeps saying sorry through the entire fucking movie. And you're just like, oh, God, we get it. You want us to like him. We don't like him. He's a piece of shit. Why are you doing this? Then at the end of the movie, when they think they've killed the alien with this relic blade that they found, this really shitty plastic gold painted blade, he accidentally touches the alien's blood and it gets into his system and it heals him and brings him back from death. This is probably the best the best scene in the movie. At the end of this movie, a car, they're in the middle of the woods. Evil's been supposedly vanquished. They, all of a sudden, they hear a car coming down the road because they're left in the middle of nowhere. He goes out in the middle of the road and tries to flag them down, and the alien blood makes him invisible, and he gets hit by the car and killed. So fucking dumb. Let's get to the what the fucks.
What the fuck is that?
My biggest what the fuck of this movie is, why are all the scientists, and this is before we get to find out that they're actually, half of these people aren't scientists that are out on some sort of archaeological expedition. Why do they all have guns except for the guy that was brought there and explicitly hired to be the muscle and threaten everybody when the situation went bad? Like, the Mike guy has a gun. The lead guy that hornswoggled them all out there has a gun. But the secondary fucking muscle did not come equipped. Had to steal it from Tim Thomerson at some point. What? Why would you do that? And my last what the fuck, after they steal all the relics and they're running from the cave and they find out that there's some sort of creature after them, Mike keeps saying, oh my God, let's just drop this shit. It's weighing us down. He keeps saying that, yet they keep running and he keeps up with them just fine. But over and over, this loot's really weighing us down. It's not. He's keeping up with them just fine. They're running all over the place. It is so fucking stupid. And so is Unseen Evil. One of, at least up until this point on our podcast, the most boring movie that I've watched for this show. The only reason to watch this thing is Tim Thomerson. And he has probably the best death in this movie, where he eventually gets decapitated. The only real fucking decent death in this entire movie. But other than that, and we're talking, he's in it for, what did I say, like 3 minutes? Max? Maybe? In that opening scene? This is a fucking 90-minute load of nothing. Just absolutely fucking nothing happens. But there are worse movies out there. We're going to keep searching for them. There's got to be something. We are on the precipice, people. We are so close to finding something that we can finally put on that list. But we haven't done it yet. So stick with us. Maybe next week we'll finally find one of the worst movies ever. Don't get your hopes up, though.
Worst Movies Ever podcast is executive produced by Vaughn Kuhlmeyer and Shannon Smith. For more Worst Movies Ever, and to make the Doctor watch your worst movies ever, subscribe to the Worst Movies Ever Patreon at patreon.com/Worst Movies Ever. There you will get a monthly exclusive WME podcast, plucked from the user-generated film list, randomized episode to episode. Until next time, celebrate trash at all costs. Toodles.